I wish I could do the introductions to this in the dulcet tones of Venus Flytrap from WKRP in Cincinnati, but I can't do that. But it is time for your monthly shot of penicillin because we're going to get under the covers with Pagan. And this cover this month is Runnin' by Pharcyde. And spoiler alert, pretty cool. So we'll go on there. So we have the mastermind behind this and all the other covers we've talked about, Mike, and we're going to put him through the hard hitting journalism that Under the Covers with Pagan has been known for. And we'll start off with why did you pick this song?
So I love this song. Like when I first heard it, when it first came out back in the 90s. I was too young to understand why I liked it. Like I just thought it sounded different. Now as an adult, and for anybody who wants to deep dive into this, there's a great YouTube channel called Digging the Greats where they break down like production and of different songs and things like that. And specific, this is off topic, but specifically, he just did a 4-part documentary that's free on YouTube, super high production value about cassette tapes that is excellent. Super, super highly recommend that. But he really gets into the production of this. And this song was produced by a guy named Jay Dilla. And what he did, he was known for kind of having these weird, quirky sound to the songs he would produce. And what he did in this song, for the drums, instead of the typical just, and this would be for anything, you would just get, a perfect take and loop that throughout the song so that it's perfect all the way through. He sampled the drum sounds on an MPC pad, which I should have had with me as a prop to show you what one looks like, but take my word for it. He sampled that on an MPC pad. They're back there. Um, and instead of just looping a perfect drum sound, he played it on the pads throughout the song from start to finish, intentionally messing up and being slightly off time, which the group, the Far Side, was very divided on. Some of them thought it sounded really cool and made the song sound kind of weird and different, and that you never really got locked into it or knew where it was going to go next because everything is slightly off as you listen to it. Some of the other members of the group, and they were the correct ones in my opinion, but some of the other members of the group were like, "Hey, no, this this is weird and I don't like it." And I understand where they were coming from because trying to record this cover intentionally slightly off on all the timing, you are constantly fighting against yourself when you're doing it. So I get it. I get where they were coming from. They were wrong, but I get where they were coming from. And I think when I was young and stupid, I didn't understand that I was listening to like something that was produced in a weird and different kind of way. But it's probably one of the first songs that made me start to think about production, whether I was consciously doing that or not. I just knew this sounded different and I didn't know why at the time.
Yeah, that was real interesting because I listened to the original version and the cover. And what I was struck with as I listened to the original version was that there was uh, reminiscent of so Captain Beefheart had a large disregard for time signatures, and there is a somewhat of a sinewy path through most of his stuff, but nothing that the ear finds traditional or expected or comfortable. And it sounds wrong. It's like, oh, they're just hitting their instruments and all those types of things. And so certainly this was not a Beefheart-esque. The original version was not Beefheart-esque beyond the fact of you'd hear these kind of runs here and there, not only with the drums, but that would be, I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of got a little Beefheart flair going right there. And then I thought, while still present in your version, much smoothed down, slightly de-beefhearted to a degree. Not,
I
not
think it's because this one, the cover is a little bit stripped down. It doesn't have the flutes and things like that in
yeah,
it. So I think that makes it a little easier to follow.
yeah, but it was interesting on that. So yeah, I was wondering a little bit on the backstory there because I assumed it wasn't just well, it was late. It's not the take we wanted, but things are there. But for this one, Enrico di Meglio joined you on drums, which was
Yes.
interesting. And then you were the singing bowl, the theremin, and bass, as you've done on many of these songs. So no Aztec death whistle in this one.
Not on this
It
one, no.
is definitely stripped down. So let me get that kind of take to the next part. And I will. I allowed you to go on a tangent on the previous question, but I'm going to ask from a journalist integrity standpoint that you answer the question asked. so, so just not going to let you filibuster your way through this. This is a hard-hitting interview. Um, so the next question was, it's not the first time this has happened because, like, certainly on Wouldn't It Be Nice, this was the case. There's no there's lyrics to this song. There's not lyrics on the cover. Uh,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
so how did that choice come about?
It's always so nothing against Pharcyde. I'm a fan of Pharcyde. That's how I ended up listening to this song. Initially when it was originally released on Lab Cab in California, that's the album that it's off of. Um, when that came out and when I listened to it, it's the instrumental that I was really hooked on this song. So I didn't intend on covering this actually when we set out for this whole cover project. It's actually the drummer. He's a guy I just started talking to online, and we started talking about this song and the drums specifically on this song and how everything's just slightly off time throughout the song and how it's difficult for everything else to then lock into something that's wrong on purpose and you're constantly fighting against yourself playing to but it creates this kind of weird avant-garde sound to it. Maybe not Beefheart level, but in the a more introductory kind of walk into that kind of space. And again, I totally disagree with the members of Farside who wanted it redone correctly. That was artistically the wrong choice to try and do that. But I get it because if you had to lay vocals along this, when I was recording the bass, this was the hardest one to record of all of them because I took music lessons as a kid, so you're just your muscle memory is fighting against you. Like that's not where that note goes. It's supposed to be here. So I actually a couple of things were too clean. So I went in and did even from a production standpoint the exact opposite of what you would typically do. You can go in and if a note's a little bit off, rather than re-record it, you can kind of just nudge a note over here and there. And if something's close enough, I actually nudged things out of place here and there in a couple of spots. So it was the weirdest song to record in that sense. And also too, to kind of keep with the original song, the guitar part in there is sampled, but we recorded it live. So I had somebody record the guitar part. They asked not to be credited because it was all they did was play six notes or whatever it is. So they said they'd rather be credited on the song they really get to play on, which is fine. But they recorded those notes and then we sampled them and cut it up and played it slightly off key again, the same way that it is in the original song. But this really just came from talking to him about doing this song, about this song in general. And just kind of offhand, he's like, "Hey, I know you're doing these covers. We should maybe do this or something." This was the same week that my dad died, and he sent me the drum track for the whole song, like a 5, 6 minute version of it. But without because it's such a repetitive song, I decided to cut it down when we were doing instrumental to this 2 minute version or whatever it is that we did, rather than the 5 minute version of the original song. So I was literally going back and forth from like the funeral home and doing different things. And then we would stop back here and I'd record some bass. We'd go out and do something else. I'd come back, do the singing bowl part, stuff like that. So it was weird. It wasn't planned, and it was recorded in these weird kind of shifts.
Yeah, I took some music lessons early on as well. Whereas you struggled, do you knew what was to happen. Beef art by choice would vary time signatures and be a little loose. I more through incompetence. I just never, it was never a mastery of mine. So, but I still couldn't match the art that was done by you, by Pharcyde, or of course beef art on there. But I could play badly, so there was that. Um, so the video, this is, I mean, each of the videos have been unique themselves for each of the covers. This one, much more so. How did that video come about?
So for a lot of the videos, I use an editing tool that there's a company called Rotor that works with Universal, and they license different things, and you can use their tools to sync up video to different things. And they had an animation loop of this monster playing drums, and I was like, oh, this would be perfect. So we were able to use their tools to kind of sync it up to the song.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I really I like the pairing of the music with the video. I thought it was great. And actually, so I for most of the versions, I certainly like the for different reasons, because they're different versions. The pagan version and the original, I've liked both versions. Sometimes maybe one a hair better than the other, but a lot of times it's like on the wouldn't it be nice? It's hard to say that one way or another because they're very different executions of the same kind of framework. And so it's not like, well, I like this one better or not because they're just so different. They just don't feel like a comparison's appropriate. This one, I feel that there's a much closer um, alignment to it, and I prefer the pagan one significantly more. Not that I dislike the original, but it seemed like a really good execution of it. So it was well done.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to hit me at the end with, and yours is garbage. I will only ever listen to the Far Side one
Yeah, and this one, I know they're all bad, but this one, it's like, wow, this is a waste of some time talking about. No,
again.
no, I'm a hard hitting journalist, but I'm a kind, hard hitting journalist. So, um, yeah, even to the extent that I'm not even going to complain about again my complete lack of involvement in yet another opportunity.
In
Again,
my defense on this one, this song wasn't planned. This just kind of happened.
yeah. So it could have happened that you gave me a call. It could. There's other things that could have happened when it just kind of happened. True? I think
True,
so.
true.
I think
I
so.
apologize.
You can live with yourself on that. So it's good. All right. Well, folks, we'll certainly provide a link to the original and Pagan's version as well. Hope you've enjoyed the monthly shots of penicillin and getting underneath the covers with Pagan. I'm trying to think if we have, I think this, I know you were saying you had mentioned you were going to be working on some more.
Yeah,
Have we
there's a few more that are already
they're already
in
out? Okay.
various stages of production, so they'll be hitting soon.
Okay. So, as they become available, we'll continue to do more shows on it and let us know in the comments what you think. And thanks for watching, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.